for 145 yards and a touchdown on those throws. For Bucs fans, this has to be a bit of a concerning stat, considering Bruce Arians' offense is built around the deep ball, the no risk it, no biscuit philosophy. So, Shannon, has Tom Brady become a deep ball liability in an offense based on throwing the deep ball?
Well, Skip, that was really never his ability to do that. With the exception of 2007, 1 year in his 21-year career, Tom Brady was very great and proficient at throwing the deep ball. You're asking a man to do something in year 21 that he hadn't done in 13 years. That's not Tom Brady's strength. Tom Brady is all about picking you apart. Julian Edelman, Wes Welker, Danny Amendola, James White, Kevin Parker, all these guys, that's his game. You asking him to do something that's not what he's been doing. Brady is also a part of the problem, Skip, because when you signed up for this, you knew the offense that you were going to. Or you need to have us like, Bruce, how much leeway are you going to be willing to give me in this offense? Because really, this is not, Skip, when you become a free agent, man, I wasn't trying to go to no team, Skip. All they did was run the football. I need to throw. How are you going to use me? Are you going to let me do some of the things that I did in Denver? I'm not saying everything that I did.
Well, you did go to a team that allowed you one pass a game, right? And it worked, right?
Well, Skip, that wasn't what I was told. I was told I was going to be, although I wasn't being involved in the offense as I was at Denver, we going to find ways to get you the football. Well, it wanted to get the football when I could and try to make the best of the situation.
Yep.
But in this situation, Skip, they're asking Brady to do something, Skip, that he's really never done. I'm a firm believer, if they would just say, Brady, it came out better, Skip, learning Brady's offense. Bruce Arians, Byron Leftwich. Okay, Tom, give us your, because I'm sure Tom got the playbook. All these years, it's hard for me to believe Skip Bayless. He didn't keep at least one playbook. And it was easier for Mike Evans and Godwin and those guys to learn what Tom does as opposed to Tom doing what they do. Because throwing the ball down the field, Skip, that's not his strong suit. Let him nickel and dime. You make the mistake, Tom pick you apart. But to ask him to push the ball down the field, Skip, I don't think they're doing Tom a great service. They're doing him a disservice, and it shows.
Okay, so for me, the Brady hate I experienced knows no bounds.
Who hating on him now?
This new narrative about, it's almost like an aha moment for the many Brady haters. I'm not even talking just about you, but they're out there in legion form. There are like billions of them. There's many Brady haters as there are LeBron defenders and lovers. So they have leaped upon this new narrative, which is completely bogus and misleading. Aha, we got him. He can't throw deep. So let's look back at what's happened. Let's look at body of work in the year 2020 at what I call Tampa Bay.
Okay.
What has happened? Well, let's look at the first 8 games. That's half a football season, so that's a pretty good body of work. I'm going to use the Pro Football Focus stats here because he is, according to Pro Football Focus, 1 for his last 19 deep throws in the last 3 games. Well, really, it crossed over into the the Raiders game at Vegas. So it's parts of 4 games.
Right.
But after 8 games, they were 6-2.
Right.
Guess what Tom Brady was on deep balls at that point?
What was he?
He was 17 for 39. He had almost completed half of his 20-plus yard throws for a grand total of 583 yards. All of those, the 17 deep completions and the 583 deep yard completions, led all of football.
Okay.
So don't tell me he can't throw deep because that's what he was doing the best through the first 8 games, and they got all the way to 6-2.
Right.
Well, now he's 1 for his last 19 for a grand total of 44 yards. What happened? What was the new X factor? Tom Brady said, we got to go get Antonio Brown. Am I right? And they tried to force Antonio into an equation that was working at a high level. Because at 6-2, even you were agreeing, yeah, they look like they could be the best team. So Tom's playing at a high level. Pro Football Focus has him graded at least in the top 5. Even last week, they had him up to 2nd in overall rating for the whole year.
Right.
And yet, once they've added Antonio Brown, And they ran into two really good defenses on back-to-back games in prime time at home. They ran into the Saints, who can rush for and get you, right?
Yeah.
And they were all over Tom Brady on that night. Meanwhile, right on schedule, Tampa Bay's defense, Todd Bowles' defense that I had so much respect for, has gone completely kaput and south. And they gave up 420 yards to Drew Brees and 413 to Jared Goff. Well, it's going to be hard to overcome that when you're up against two defenses that rank Rams #1 in fewest yards allowed, and New Orleans ranks #3 in fewest yards allowed.
Well, if you combine those two defenses and put them together, they still should be no match for the GOAT.
Okay, but the GOAT was overmatching everybody he played because he was no risk it, no biscuit at the highest level. He was leading the league in big-time throws, and which are 20-plus yard throws.
So where were those, since you talked about the reason why he's not getting big-time throws because of the defense that he was playing, when he went 17 or 36, where were those defenses ranked? Was any of those big-time throws against Chicago? Was any of those big-time throws against New Orleans? Was any of those big-time throws against the Rams? So in other words, you're taking advantage of bottom feeders defensively. So again, to make a long story short.
Well, I told you in their 7 win, you know, I've got 7 of their 8 wins. I'm sorry, 6 of their 7 wins. He lit it up. He's got 19 touchdowns to 1 interception. And if you want to say these are bottom feeders, Denver's defense, the Chargers, Green Bay's defense.
Yeah, terrible.
Raiders defense. Giants defense that you've come around, now you're driving their bandwagon, and at Carolina, which they had just gone up to Mahomes and Bridgewater and outplayed Mahomes at Kansas City.
You do know that if this doesn't go well, you know who this is going to fall on, right, Skip? It's going to be on Brady.
Okay, that's fine. Well, he's bought into this. This is what he asked for.
Because I've given you everything you've asked for.
Okay, he wanted Antonio Brown, but it was going to be difficult to not.
He wanted Gronk.
Okay, remember, well, that was from the start. At least you got him from the start. There were no preseason games. There was virtual OTAs, so you got very little time to prepare to get to know a team that you didn't know at all. Everything was new. Offense, teammates, all new. So he starts out cold in week 1 at New Orleans, which I thought was completely unfair. But then we get all the way to 6-2, and he's rolling, and he says, if I'm going to go win a Super Bowl, I need Antonio Brown. Was that big risk it for the biscuit?
Yes.
Yes.
Skip, but this is what I don't get. Now, when he was 17 or 36, 17 or 39, on those deep throws, you didn't mention anything about no OT. They're not having OTAs. They were doing this thing by Zoom. You didn't mention anything about that. No. Now, he's 1 of 19 on those last throws. You mentioned that they had no OTAs. Okay. They brought in Antonio Brown. Why?
Yeah, the Hall of Famer across me kept telling me that he's a noodle arm, spaghetti arm, that he's lost it. He's lost some velocity. I said, no, he actually looks like he's gained velocity because he's throwing the deep ball better than with more velocity than he ever threw it in New England.
Skip, what good is throwing the deep ball if it's inaccurate? What good is a 100-mile-an-hour pitch if you can't spot it?
Okay, but for 8 games, he was almost 50% of his deep balls. Does that work? And who was one of his favorite receivers for the deep ball? The best deep ball he threw was at Raiders, at Las Vegas, at the end of the half.
But he wasn't happy with that.
Little Scotty Miller.
He wasn't happy with that.
Okay? So he says, I got to go up 1 notch to Antonio Brown because, as you told me, for 5 years, he was the best receiver in football, the most productive receiver in football.
Yes.
So Brady's saying, I don't just want to win 1 playoff game. I want to go win the Super Bowl that's going to be played in our stadium, right?
Yes.
So if I'm going to do that, I'm going to have to figure out Antonio Brown on the fly. I'm going to have to force him in and then force feed him to the detriment of my offense short term, because long term, this might pay off. Now, maybe it won't pay off until next year, but right now, he's trying to do something on the fly that is virtually impossible.
Are you sure he's coming back for next year?
Well, are you saying they don't want him back?
I'm just asking you, will he be? I don't know.
Huh?
I mean, it seems like every chance he gets, Bruce Arians is, giving him a haircut.
Okay. Well, I hope they cut him so he can go somewhere else.
Where?
Yeah. Well, name it. Name somebody who needs a quarterback. Anybody would want him.
No, they don't.
Those numbers that he's putting up?
What numbers?
Are you? I just told you what they are.
I mean, he's the 14th or 15th best quarterback right now.
Says you. I think he's a top 5 quarterback. Says Pro Football Focus. They still have him as a top 5 performing quarterback.
Pro Football Focus has lost all their credibility.
Lost their mind?
The mere fact that they said he was better than Mahomes.
All I know is the man across from me for 4 straight years on Undisputed has said, this is it. This is the end of him. He's got to go home after this year.
No, he ain't got to go home,
So
Skip.
here we are.
Skip, I just told you the days of him being the best, and you're just, Tom Brady.
But you continue to predict, Tampa's still going to make the playoffs. So they're going to send him home after they make the playoffs?
Oh, well, Coach Belichick did.
Okay.
Coach Belichick did.
Yeah, is he going to make the playoffs?
Yeah, no, that's right. Hey, look what he did with their weapons. I mean, look at Cam. He got Jacoby Myers. Had 16 catches. Bird had a big day. Look at them guys, what he's doing. What Tom couldn't do.
Who got the dub in that game? I think Deshaun did.
Yo guy didn't get no dub on Monday night.
Well, I think he's a little better off in a much better position to make the playoffs than Belichick's.
Because they got to carry him. He understood he needed to go to get downstream. He needed to go with a current. He had to go with 2 Pro Bowl receivers.
You picked the Patriots to make the playoffs. I didn't.
Is the season over?
Yes, it's over for them.
No, it's not.
Yes.
No,
And remember, Tom has, followed up with a win after his losses as well this season. So, he's prepping right now. But I've got another question for you guys. What is the more pressing issue in Philly? The starting quarterback or the coach who may not believe in